Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Gary here. It's a Sunday, April 12th. Hey, a month from today, I'm going to be getting surgery. I'm getting a new shoulder. Anyway, today's episode is going to be called Old School. It's going to talk a little bit about when I started cutting meat, when I learned how to cut meat, some of the practices that I was taught on how to cut meat the right way. That's the key word, the right way. In today's standards, the way meat comes in now, a lot of meat comes in pre-cut from factories and warehouses and cutting facilities from where, God knows where, but they come in already cut. That's been going on for maybe my last 6 or 7 years with my company. Pre-cut meat, they call it. I mean, is it all right? I don't know. I've never eaten it. I won't eat pre-cut meat. That's just me. I'm not doing it. I mean, it says country of origin on the package, which is mostly United States, but still, I'm not eating it because I know I'm old school. I know the difference from a quality cut piece of meat versus cut by some guy named Pablo or Enrique somewhere in God knows where. Factory workers cutting the same piece of meat. It's like the assembly line. Same piece of meat the same way every day. That's not meat cutting. So when I learned how to cut meat, I was 30 years old. I was straight out of being a seafood manager, straight into learning how to cut meat. From old school guys. These guys were old school. They learned how to cut meat off of they learned how to quarter a cow, come in off a meat hook on a truck and seam it out with a knife. Everything was cutting it with a knife. These guys were surgical with a knife. And I learned from these guys. And I learned a lot of shortcuts. I'll talk a little bit about that today. Were the shortcuts dangerous for people's consumption of the food? Absolutely not. If anything, it was done correctly in an old school fashion. In today's standards, the health department and the companies that instill the health department in the rules and regulations and the way things are supposed to be done, they got a stranglehold on the meat industry, and it's out the window. There's no such thing as young meat cutters anymore. They don't make it possible because everything's pre-cut. The old school meat cutter is gone. They're out to pasture. They're retiring like me. And I have a bunch of other friends that are getting ready to retire that are old school meat cutters. They're going out to pasture soon to start the second part of their life like I am. And these companies nationwide are not bringing in any new guys that want to learn the practice of being a butcher the right way, see? And I learned a lot of shortcuts. I learned how to cut meat the right way, quality meat the right way. I had a guy, my teacher. I'm not going to say his name. He's got a son who's still playing the game, but he died. I think I'm not going to say his name. I'll call him Nicky. And he died 4 or 5 years ago, lung cancer. Of course, I mean it doesn't surprise me because he smoked like 5 packs of cigarettes a day. Anyway, this guy was he was hardcore. He was kind of a dick, but he knew his stuff. And he was my teacher. He was my very first teacher in meat department. He taught me all shortcuts. He taught me how to merchandise meat. This guy was a merchandiser. Merchandisers was able to take a whole side of a cow, seam it out with a knife. When I mean seam it out, go along the inside of the meat, separate a top round from a bottom round. It's all part of the leg. So when you hear of a round steak, London broil, bottom round, top round steak, that comes off the rear leg of the cow. It's super lean meat. Super lean. Well, it has seams between, connected by tendons. And you could seam out a cow's leg with a knife, with just a knife. You don't need a saw. A lot of these places now, they cut everything with a table saw. You don't need one of those. Old school guys learn how to use a knife like I did with a knife. You seam out anything. Anything. a cow, a pig, lamb, veal, anything. Well, veal is basically cow. So this was right around turkey season. I'm going to tell some stories. This is right around turkey season. It was my very first Thanksgiving behind the scenes instead of being at the table, at my mom's table when I was a kid. I learned the old school way. So people out on the sales floor, these customers are asking for specific sizes of turkeys. And this one particular day, I'll never forget it. I still share this story with people today. This lady wanted a 17-pound fresh butterball turkey or a honeysuckle. A honeysuckle or a butterball, but she wanted it to be exactly 17 pounds. And I'm just a young clerk. I've only got 3 months in as a meat guy. I'm on the sales floor. And I'm going through the fresh turkey bunker. And there was turkeys in there that were 17 pounds, 7 ounces. There was 17 pounds, 8 ounces. She wanted exactly 17 pounds. I couldn't find one 17 pounds. So I found one. She said, I want, so I found one that was like 16 pounds, 16.25, 16 pounds. It was almost 17 pounds. I couldn't please her. She goes, I said, let me go back and talk to my boss, Nikki. Man, give me about 15, 20 minutes. If you got some shopping to do, I'll find one. There's fresh birds back there. I'll find one. And I was wide-eyed and woolly, man. I wanted to learn. So I went back and said, Nikki, this lady wants a 17-pound fresh bird. And he called me Peckerhead. That was my nickname. He called me, I don't know why, he called me Peckerhead. And he always had a cigarette in his mouth. Of course, in today's standards, you can't smoke in the meat room. The jury's out on that one. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I used to. They were so yummy. I stopped smoking cigarettes in 2004. It's the hardest thing I ever did, long story short. But everyone smoked. Everyone smoked cigarettes in the meat room, myself included, and even our store manager. No one gave a fuck, So I go back there, and Nikki goes, what do you need, Peckerhead? I said, this lady wants a 17-pound turkey. What do we do? There's none out there that are exactly 17 pounds. So he goes back and he grabs this honeysuckle off the fresh pallet. They came in pallets, big pallets of boxes. It was 16 pounds. He puts it up on the scale. Now you have to physically put it on a scale, and it would spit out a ticket and give you the weight. He goes, yeah, 16.8. And he takes a stapler. A stapler. Puts a stapler on top of the bird. Hits a print. Now it's 16 and a quarter, or 16.29. He's weighting the bird. He put a metal stapler on top of the turkey and then hit the print button. 16.28. And he goes over and he grabs a roll of labels and he puts the labels on top of the stapler, hits the print button. He goes, oh, geez, this is too much. Now it's 17.5. She wants 17 pounds. I said, yeah. He goes, he looks down like this. He looks down, and I'm wearing these work boots. He goes, are those work boots? They got a steel toe in them, Gary? I said, no, they're just regular work boots. And I wore, these Iron Age, you recall, the company. It was a Cincinnati company called Iron Age. They were like ankle-high work boots. He goes, take one of those boots off, will you? Come on, Peckerhead. We're out and get all day. So I lean down and I untie this boot. I hand him my boot. He goes, all right, puts the bird back up and takes my boot and puts the boot on top of the turkey. Here's the print. He goes, up, 17.2. Here's your bird. Puts it on there. Take it out to her. I'm done with this bullshit. I take it out to the lady and say, here you go, 17.2. She goes, well, aren't you sweet? Thank you. That's how they did shit old school. And I went back and I said to him, I said, well, Nikki, that was kind of dishonest, don't you think? He goes, let me tell you something, Peckerhead. This is how you do shit around here. You want to please people. They don't have a scale at home. They're not going to weigh the bird. All they want to know is if it's at 17 pounds. So it was a pound lighter than what she wanted. It's not going to matter, and she's not going to bitch. And guess what? She's going to come back next year. She'll remember your face, and she'll say, hey, I need another 17-pound bird. And let's say I'm not here anymore. What are you going to do? I said, I'll take my boot off. He goes, there, now you're learning. It's kind of shit we did, man. Nobody was looking over our shoulders. There was no health department bullshit. There was no people. The company I retired from, they got a whole wing in their division of all these people do, men and women, is walk around with pieces of paper and pens, and they go through the departments, all departments, bakery, deli, front end, grocery, meat department, seafood, checks and balances, what you're doing, what you're not doing. And that's not just my company, it's every company in the country. They've gotten so hyper-focused on the right way to do things instead of worrying about how to properly merchandise something to the benefit and the bottom line of the company's profit margin. I mean, the old school way of cutting meat, there was virtually no waste. You take a whole, it's called a round. We discussed this earlier. It comes off the rear leg of the cow. It's called a round. One whole round, one whole piece. They call it a round. It's shaped like a big round hunk of meat. It'll weigh anywhere from, 15 to 20 pounds. These things are monster hunks of meat. Throw it up on the meat block meaning the table, because back in the old days it was made of wood, but in today's standards it's a piece of high density plastic about yay thick, and it's laid on a table. It's made of metal legs. It's called the meat block. You lay the round up there and you seam it out. There's virtually no waste on that. None. You get your top round steak, your bottom round steak, and your eye round steak off of that round. And then you make steaks out of that or roast, send it down the line. The wrapper wraps it and puts that on the sales floor. That's the way you merchandise meat. And then the ends, the scraps that come off of the round, you grind that up for a fresh hamburger. There was virtually no waste. And that was old school cutting. And I've mentioned this in programs. I know I've mentioned this in one of my other programs because I got over 100 programs up now. The one thing I miss about not working is being in retirement is I miss cutting meat, man. I miss the old school way. I miss taking my fucking boot off and putting it on top of a turkey for weight. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to confirm or deny that I did that right after the last day I worked for my company. Not going to confirm or deny that I did that. Am I cheating people out of something? What? 3/4 of a pound of turkey? Or 3/4 of a pound or a half pound of a ham they wanted weighed? The bottom line is there's an old saying in business, and it's called the customer's always right. Okay. Well, that turkey that was processed in the Butterball plant or the Honeysuckle plant, they can't guarantee exactly 17 pounds, exactly 18 pounds, exactly 19 pounds. You know who fucks it up? Betty Crocker fucks it up. These recipe books that mothers, young mothers and old mothers have to learn how to cook by, and it says 17-pound turkey. The people that did that should be fucking slapped in the face. The Betty Crockers of the world need to be bitch slapped in the face for putting 17-pound birds on it, because it trickles down to guys like me, the peckerhead, and my boss, Nikki. It's got to be exactly 17 pounds. It's not her fault that she's in there asking for it. It's fucking Betty Crocker's fault for writing it down. Oh, preheat your oven to 400 degrees for 17-pound birds. Blah, 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 blah. Puke and puke and puke some more. Really? So all we did was what we were supposed to do. Make the customer happy, because the customer is what? Always right. Even if there's a booted weight or a stapler and a roll of tape on top to make it heavier, 1 pound over on the cooking time is not going to ruin the cooking time. It's not going to ruin the bird. It's a trickle-down effect. The bottom line is the meat cutter, the old school meat cutter. It's our problem now. Betty Crocker writes it down. The industry doesn't give us exactly the same weight. You see where I'm going with this? I got a lot of stories about shortcuts, and I'm going to continue talking about them. Why not? But I'm not going to do it today because we are into like 14 minutes. I'm trying to keep these things short, and I'm going to continue to keep them short. In closing, a friend of mine said to me yesterday, he goes, Gary, you didn't do an episode on Saturday. I'm like, I'm not supposed to do them every day. He goes, well, you've been doing them every day. How come I count on that stuff, dude? And he lives up the road from me. He's been retired from General Electric for about 8 years. He goes, man, I love watching your content. I never know what to expect. I was expecting something Saturday. I said, well, go back and look at half of my other, go back and look at some old stuff, dude. What I'm saying is I can't guarantee I'm gonna do it every day. I enjoy talking. I love running my mouth. But honestly, people, there's days I wake up, I look up, I'm going, I don't have anything to talk about today. I don't have anything to talk about today. I'm going to try to do episodes probably 4 times a week because I like talking. I like doing them. But I can't tell you when I'm going to do them. I'm just going to do them when I do them. That's all I can say. All right, I enjoyed talking with you today. I always do. Anyway, I guess I got more content. I'm gonna probably talk a lot this week because I got a lot of content. It's gonna be part 2, 3, and 4 of this one. Anyway, enjoy your Sunday. Today's gonna be supposed to be in the mid-70s in Cincinnati. I love this weather. Fucking love it. That's all I got. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I mean that when I say it. Take care of yourselves and each other. Peace out.